Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is India, and I work for Teach a Man to Fish. I'll be hosting today's session, and we also have here today my colleague Christoph. He'll be supporting me as a co-host. So Teach a Man to Fish is an educational charity based in the United Kingdom, whose mission is to empower young people with the skills that they need to succeed in school, in work, and in life. For those of you who are not familiar with the work that we do, I wanted to start by playing you a short video to introduce you to our flagship program, the School Enterprise Challenge. Let's take a look now.
Jerom's story is pretty typical. He comes from a shanty town, Nakawunda, on the outskirts of Kampala. Poverty is the norm. It's a daily struggle to make ends meet. Good jobs are few, and few have the skills for the jobs that do exist. Even for kids lucky enough to go to school, it's very hard for them to break out of this with purely an academic education. Teach a Man to Fish is an educational charity working in developing countries to give children a chance to acquire the skills needed to succeed in work and life. So although we're based in London, we work with schools in 110 countries, working both directly and through partners who are able to provide more on-the-ground support. Our flagship program is the School Enterprise Challenge. It guides school teams through the process of researching, planning and setting up a real school business, selling real products to real customers and earning real income.
One of the main benefits will be the development of 21st century skills, or what we call soft skills, and that will include teamwork, communication, leadership and business skills. The impact we have, I guess, even in terms of developing skills, equipping the students and the teachers as well. We usually say this is a learning experience for the teachers as well. Not necessarily a teacher will know how to set up a business or know about businesses in general. So I guess it's in terms of a skills gain, how they can actually put them in practice. It's not about theory, it's about going and doing and actually learning while doing it.
Alongside the skills being learned, there's also the dimension that the school generates income. That income both sustains the business so that students can take part year after year, but also plays an important role in generating funds that the school can use to support the most disadvantaged students, to buy additional resources, or to support their educational priorities.
Some of the businesses set up by the school will range from a pottery business in India, handicrafts, fish farming in Uganda, vegetable farming, healthy snacks in Mexico, a tuck shop in Ecuador.
I'm Monica Sharon, the super poultry farmer.
I'll leave it there for today. So as you saw in the video, our program, the School Enterprise Challenge, gives young people the chance to become entrepreneurs whilst they're still at school. So participants in the program get to plan, set up and run a real school business. In the process, they learn about business, of course, but they also develop a wide range of life skills, such as communication, leadership, teamwork, and problem solving. Today, you will get the opportunity to hear firsthand from a few teachers who have led their students through this program with great success. Before we do that, though, it would be great if you could all very quickly introduce yourselves. So if you haven't done so already, please type your name and your country in the chat. And for those of you who have already introduced yourselves, I will ask you a different question. What are you hoping to get out of today's session? What are you hoping to get out of today's session? Please do let me know in the chat box and we'll do our very best to see if we can make that happen for you. In the meantime, a very warm welcome to those of you that have just joined us. We've got more teachers from India, Malaysia, South Africa, Nepal. Great to have such an international audience today. So my question to all of you is, what are you hoping to get out of today's webinar? Benita says she is hoping to expand her horizons of learning as we share and interact with each other. Absolutely, that is exactly what today's session is all about. Does anybody else have any hopes for today's session? What made you sign up for the webinar today? Tulsi says, best practices of businesses. Definitely, another great suggestion. Okay, so while you keep having a think about what you're hoping to get out of today's session, let me tell you a bit about how today's webinar will work and what to expect. So the duration of this webinar will be up to 1.5 hours. We have 3 exciting guest speakers lined up for you today. They are all teachers who have lots of amazing experience of guiding their students through the School Enterprise Challenge program and supporting them to come up with a great business idea, plan, and then actually set up and run their school business. So we will hear from each of the guest speakers in turn. I will begin by asking the speaker a few of my own questions about their experience. And while the speaker is sharing their story, I encourage you to join in the discussion by sharing your comments and any questions that you might have for the speaker in the chat box. This is, after all, a question and answer webinar, so it's a golden opportunity to get your questions answered by some expert teacher facilitators who have led their students through this process. So after we've heard from each speaker, my colleague Christoph will select a few of your questions from the audience, which you've typed in the chat, to then share with the speaker. And he may invite you to turn on your camera and your microphone and share your question live. We'll then repeat that format for the second and third speaker. So now though, please do stay on mute. That's because there's quite a lot of us here today. We can't all be speaking at the same time. So if you stay on mute, it will make sure that everyone can hear myself and the speakers clearly. At the end of today's webinar, we will be sharing with you a link to a survey. And when you complete the survey, you'll be able to download your certificate of attendance. And I'll also be sharing these presentation slides with you by email, along with a recording of today's session. So that is all of the housekeeping. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our very first speaker, who is Benita from Mount Abu Public School.
Yeah, may I, ma'am?
Please go ahead. Welcome, Benita. Tell us your story.
Yeah, thank you so much. And greetings of the day to each of the learned audience who is here. Special thank you to School Enterprise Challenge for providing this opportunity. Well, sharing about the school business is something which is very close to my heart. Introducing myself, I am a primary teacher of English and I teach, grade 4 and 5. And the School Enterprise Challenge, having a business, being associated with the School Enterprise Challenge since the year 2014 has been a life-changing experience for me and even for my students as well. So our business is Herbs and Cures, which basically deals with, growing of herbs in the school garden. And then initially we started by selling the herbal plants like aloe vera, tulsi, various herbal plants, and herbs are very popular in India. In fact, every household has a herb, and some are the special herbs which are even worshipped. And they also have some medicinal property. Personally, I believe that they don't have any side effects, which is the best part of these herbs. So we started with this business of Herbs and Cures. We all got together. We had the resources in our school. So we had a small area of land, which we have now converted into a beautiful herbal garden. The team Herbs and Cures. And, we started by selling saplings, and slowly and steadily we expanded further. We started selling herbal candies. So, we used to dry those herbs and make the candies. We also started selling herbal chocolates. So in the school kitchen, the children used to, in their club time, they used to make chocolates and they added a tinge of herbs in that, which was very unique and different and isn't available, I think, easily in the market till date. So we made herbal chocolates as well. And we also expanded it to herbal face packs, which has no side effects, but yes, it gives amazing results, our customers say, and we truly vouch for that. So this is how we expanded slowly and steadily with lots and lots of ideas put in by the students. We also collaborated with other schools and convinced them to participate, expanded our markets. We also did not miss any opportunity, and we used our inter-school events. We used various platforms to sell our products, be it the PTMs, be it the Diwali fairs. So we didn't miss any opportunities. And for this, the biggest credit I would like to give is to my lovely students. If I can speak here so confidently, if I can say so proudly that the business Herbs and Cures is one of the super successful one, it's only and only because I have the wonderful students, and I'm sure each one of us have wonderful students. Everyone is unique, with flooded with the capabilities, which I think School Enterprise Challenge has provided them a platform to rise and shine with utmost glory. And I would also like to say that this beautiful logo that you see on the screen is also made by one of the team members, and so very proud of each and every child. And thank you to School Enterprise Challenge for giving the platform. As facilitators, we can only provide the platforms, and the students, then they just grow by leaps and bounds.
Oh, it's so nice to hear you speaking with so much passion about the program, Benita. And I'm sure your students would be equally thankful to you for guiding them through it. You told us a little bit about how your business came about because of the resources that you had available. I'm just interested if you could tell us a bit more. Over the years, your business has grown, you've diversified into lots of different products. Maybe take us back to the beginning and tell us a bit more about how your students decided on their first business idea, and how many students were involved in the business team at the beginning.
Yeah, so initially we did not have a very big business. To be very true, we thought that it is just another co-curricular activity. We used to have lots of co-curricular activities. We thought that it is to be, it's just another co-curricular activity, but slowly and steadily, it has been embedded so deeply in the school. And, our team is now as big as 110 members. And we keep on multiplying, and everybody's so interested in these business, directly or indirectly. If I say, it's the whole school which is involved. Directly I can say the focus team is 110, but indirectly, looking into the curriculum, because we have introduced entrepreneurship in our curriculum as well. So the accounts teacher gives questions, related to the school business. This is the school business balance sheet. You find out what is, how to balance it out, or questions related to it. I, as an English teacher, asked my students to write a letter, to design a poster, for the customers, to attract the customers, write a thank you letter to the customers. So, indirectly now the whole school is being involved, because we have been engaged so long. And now the school has also even started with the second business also. So yes, it has, the speaking pen. So that's altogether a different business. And it has now been the culture of the school. It is something that, the parents, the stakeholders, everybody is well aware. And, I personally believe it's not what everybody knows, but what we do with our learnings, that is more important. And setting up a business helps children to use their learnings in real life situations. So, it makes them, their learning is more active, it's more experiential. So in environmental science, if they are learning about herbs, it's not just sitting and learning. They go to the school business and they look for various herbs which are there. They go to the herbal garden set up by the team, and they look for the herbs. So, they are learning also. Once we integrate things in the system, it becomes very smooth sailing.
Incredible to hear, especially how you've integrated the school business as an example through so many different academic subjects to bring the theory to life. Really inspiring. My next question for you is around challenges. What would you say has been the biggest challenge that your team has faced, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the journey wasn't full of challenges. Initially we did struggle with those guides, with those templates. I'll be very honest, but but we could overcome that after researching and after contacting you. But the biggest challenge, if I would have to say one, that was time management. Setting up something in a school business and managing it with the students, with the time, probably was the biggest challenge for me. But yes, as every crisis come with an opportunity. So we tried to find the time in our system only. Like we had clubs period. So, the children have mathematics clubs, they have science innovation clubs, they have computer clubs, some moms club, we have various clubs. So we also made an entrepreneurship club in our school. And the team members got a time, they got a dedicated time to work for the business. Also, we had a zero period once a week where the children are free to do what they feel like, some can go to the library, some can go to their art and craft room. So that's a zero period concept in the school itself. So, the children in the team member became so passionate. They went for, their herbal gardening. They went for making their herbal candies and herbal chocolates. So, when we find space within the system, I would also say they have also worked at home. So, that was another thing. It's not that they haven't worked. They have. Sometimes we had to meet the deadlines. We needed more things. So if they have taken an off during an examination time, they have worked, they have compensated later, and they have learned this skill also, how to manage things. So, but somehow I feel if we find the things within the system, there is always a scope. There is always, if we have that entrepreneurial mindset, then we look for opportunities. We don't look for barriers, automatically the doors open. I don't know how, but yes, you look for space within the system. I would really suggest to overcome this time management.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you, Vanita. You mentioned a little bit there about the sort of challenges that you've had over the last couple of years with the pandemic. I wanted to ask you about your experience of supporting your students to keep running their business while during the lockdown.
Oh yes, while running the business during the pandemic, the students didn't give up. They wanted to continue. They wanted to feel associated with it. And the biggest thing that came to our advantage was the technology. We had Microsoft Teams where we were using. We were taking online classes. So we made a separate team of School Enterprise Challenge. There had online meets, used Padlet extensively to collaborate, put in our things. And we all could see what others are doing. We all could make our comments in the weekly meetings. We could discuss our Padlets. And also I used Wakelet. We also used Jamboard to share our ideas and thoughts, while during the meeting. So technology has come up as the biggest boon, and we could really run it. And trust me, it's so easy to use. It's only, something, whenever we try something new, we feel that, no, this is not right. This is not, this might not work. But technology has come up as a biggest boon, and it is so very easy to use. I really feel that we all should use it. We all should collaborate it, because that's the future, and that is the skill that we want our students to develop. One thing more I would like to say, that it's not only for the students who are good academically, or who are good in spoken English, or who are good in finances. So this setting up a business provides scope to all the students. It gives that platform. If you're good in speaking, go for marketing. If you're good in finances, go for finance department, and then you switch over the roles. So you get more expertise once you become confident in one. So it's not only those who are academically bright can only participate. Everyone can participate, and that's the beauty of this program. And it's not only if you want to run a business, even if you want to go for any of the platform, I think the children can become more imaginative. They get more 21st century skills like problem solving. They get that leadership quality, and that is the platform that they get in the school. So once they are out of the school, they are beaming with confidence. I have really seen it, felt it, and I really appreciate that.
You must be so proud of them. Thank you so much. My next question was going to be about the impact that you've seen in your students on the School Enterprise Challenge, but you've explained it so nicely. And if I may, I'd like to now play the video which you shared with me from one of your students, Kashish. So let's take a look.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kashish Gumbar and I am a pass out of Mount Abu Public School. Now, when I was in school, I used to be part of this very creative initiative called School Enterprise Challenge. When I initially joined the initiative, I thought of it as some other extracurricular activity. But later on, I realized how important it was for me to be part of such initiative, because that initiative has not only helped me develop my crisis solving skills, or for that matter my public speaking skills or my confidence, but has also helped me to deal with real life problems that I face after the school. So since I graduated from school, posted I've started my very own organization which deals with public speaking, and we have trained around 600 students from across India. Along with it, I have organized Model United Nations Conference in collaboration with United Nations Information Center, India and Bhutan. And I am financially independent since the very age of 18. I have not taken a single penny from my parents. So thank you to School Enterprise Challenge and Mount Abu School.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great testament to the impact the program has had on her.
And trust me, I've seen her growing from a, an introvert girl to leading the business, to being the team leader. She sometimes is very confident. She sometimes is very, she sometimes is very much, jovial with the team members. And, her skills have multiplied, and I've personally witnessed that. And now she organizes at MUNs, Model United Nations, with big organizations. So I've told her to hire me part-time.
Fantastic. Starting creating new jobs. Amazing. Okay, so thank you so much, Vanita, for sharing your experience. I think now we will move to hear some questions from the audience that have been shared in the chat. So Christoph, I will hand over to you.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. And thank you, Vanita, for a wonderful presentation. It's so nice to hear about the business being run at your school. And whilst you were talking, we had some really interesting questions come through. So I've picked my top 3, and I'll do them one by one, and you can give your answer. So you have 2 or 3 minutes for each answer. The first question is, which age group of students are involved in the project at your school?
Okay, so like initially we started with grade 8th and 9th. So that is 13-year onwards. But slowly and steadily, as we gained confidence, we have even involved our primary students. So now even grade 4th is involved. Grade 4th, I mean 10-year-old students are also involved, and they are doing wonderful. They know how to plant, they know how to do gardening. So, gardening is, if you ever visit our school, most welcome. It's, full of greenery, and environment is something that is very close to our school. And, that herbal garden has a very special place in my heart. And it is now, everybody can plant on their birthday. We encourage them to plant a sapling. So they plant a herb in that herbal garden, and our herbal garden is also growing that way. And we are also selling and doing our bit.
Great. So when you first started, you had sort of 13-year-olds upwards involved. Now you have 10-year-old upwards involved. Are those 10-year-olds involved with the business side of things, or mostly the production? How does it work?
No, they are completely involved in it. Like, the teams are divided. So they are a part of, few students are part of finance team, few students are part of marketing team, few students are part of, the production team, few students are part of the ICT team. So they are completely involved. It's not that they are, they are being segregated. They are involved everywhere. And then we keep on switching over the rules. And we have also found out a very nice way of switching over the roles. There is a spin wheel that comes in ICT tools. I would request everyone to try that. So, that's also a nice tool when you are segregating the students and dividing into, when you're switching over the roles.
Great. I love that. It's really good to hear that, students as young as 10, even possibly younger, can be involved in business activities.
I'm so sorry, sir, but I would say never underestimate children. The kind of ideas they will give you, you can't even think of. They told me that we can create a bracelet of the herbs. So, that we have cloves. That is really good, because herbs, as I told you, in India, it's very popular. So, even spelling camphor, it's like, during those pandemic times, we had those karas and herbs were used extensively. So they give brilliant ideas. Never ever underestimate children. But yes, as a facilitator, they sometimes tend to go overboard. They sometimes, might go astray. So as facilitators, our role is to bring them back to the track. Ask them, what do you think so? Why do you think so? Start the why chain. Will it happen that way? Do you think we are able to earn? So never snub their ideas. Give them the confidence to believe and to think out of the box.
Brilliant. So the first takeaway is, never underestimate what young people can do and come up with. So let's involve them from a young age. I think a good follow-up question, and you kind of touched on this, but somebody in the chat said, how do you motivate and engage introvert students during the project?
Oh, trust me, introvert will give you the best result. They will give you the best result. You get them involved in production team. And as you involve them in production team and you praise them and they see those outputs coming, they gain confidence. Then they want to go to the marketing team. They themselves will come, ma'am, if I could be a part of that team. So, I have always motivated. There is a child, Sujal Tandon. I have seen him. He's introvert. He doesn't speak much. I have given him platforms. I have given him opportunities. And I see him growing. So, even this Kashish, she was an introvert girl and how she has groomed herself. So believe in them. Give them that confidence. Give them that spark that, yes, you can do it. Why not? Team up. When they team up with someone else. So then they feel like, okay, chalo, if there's a mistake, both of us will get a scolding. So, they just push them. So they will definitely come. And trust me, introverts will give you the best result.
Okay, so really making sure that introverted young people are invited to join the business team. Maybe they can start in production, give them lots of praise, give them lots of encouragement. Hopefully they'll see there's other opportunities such as marketing and finance, and then they can grow their skills, grow their confidence, and grow their responsibility in the business. I mean, we saw that in the video, didn't we? It's incredible to think that she would be introvert.
Absolutely. And to prove themselves, and they will not let your customers go. So, they feel an added responsibility that no, they have to prove because they have been given a marketing team. So they will not let the customer go. And it gives you such a delight to see.
Very good. I have two final questions, very quick ones. The first one is, what problem is your business product solving, and how can we promote it too in our country?
Okay, so I'll not say a problem. I'll say, we cover all the aspects: people, profit, planet. So how are we covering the planet? Like herbs themselves are the beautiful, plants, the beautiful creation of Almighty. So we are nurturing the nature. How are we helping the people out? These herbs have medicinal properties with no side effects. And even the part of the profit that we earn, we always, on a yoga day, we organize, a proper camp. We invite experts, and all the community members are invited to get their basic checkups done. So, their weight, blood pressure, and the basic checkups are done by those experts. So, people, and of course, we are earning profit. So it's not a problem. It's the need of the customers that we are fulfilling. Probably they just have herbs grown at home, and maybe they want more herbs because, herbs are something like aloe vera. This is something that you want to grow, and it looks beautiful in the house, in the balcony. So, and we have also done one thing. We have promoted them as a gifting option. So, during Diwali, when we exchange gifts, we started creating a gift hampers. Like you can see in this pink one, these are the gift hampers being created, herbal gift hampers. So we encourage them to go for these herbal gift hampers, so which have no side effects, and they're really good to use, good for health. So we are also catering to health there. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely. I think that's a really important takeaway is, we talk about entrepreneurship always having to solve a problem. And I think sometimes people obsess over the word problem. They desperately want to find a problem, whereas actually you framed it as a need. People have needs. It might seem like a luxury, but at the end of the day, if people are willing to spend money on it, then there's an opportunity for sales there. So I think it's really nice to look at it that way. final question, and it's linked. Very short answer, please, Vanita. In your opinion, what other projects, as in what other types of business, are suitable to be run by students during the time of a pandemic and lockdown? Can you imagine any businesses which people could start, which, you know, young people could start now?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll say that there are lots and lots of businesses. Like we have also come up with during a pandemic, we have come up with another business named Speaking Pens. Now, what is it happening in it that we are guiding our students, and there is a team, the team of a senior students, which is guiding younger students to write stories. So we organize online sessions like this. We invite the writers, expert writers, and they're writing their stories. Then there is an editorial team which is editing, and those stories are published in the storybooks. Now we are also trying to expand it further using digital books, using digital comic booklets. And as I heard in one of the previous session podcasts, what a beautiful idea. I'm sure we are going to hear more about it. And, use technology extensively. Of course, that is the future. And I was having a discussion with the students after my session, after hearing that podcast thing. So they said, ma'am, we'll do something on artificial intelligence. So I was like amazed, what are they thinking of? So I need to have more discussions with them. So, children, you involve children, they will give you give them just a spark, and, they'll create the fire. So, involve children, they're full of potential. I really believe if our business could grow, it's only because children gave me the ideas. They use, whatever waste they saw, they said, ma'am, we can create a keychains out of this, and we can also sell along with our business product. It's cheap, and they will be attracted. We can, we can sell it more. So, this is how the children give you ideas. So as I told you, never underestimate children. We are preparing the youth for unknown, but in the process, we are only learning, I feel.
Thanks, Vanita. So there you've kind of given two very concrete examples, which are basically going digital, whether that's a magazine like your team has done, or going down the podcast route, which we spoke about in the previous webinar. So they're two very concrete examples. But what I like, what you've said, is actually get the kids to think about it. Like, there's no one answer. There's no, if you do this, you will succeed, definitely. Like, you just need to think, you need to brainstorm, and you need to try different things. So, I would encourage all the teachers here to follow Vanita's lead and really put the onus on the young people to come up with their own ideas and try them for themselves. So thank you so much, Vanita. I know we went a little bit over time there. Sorry, India, but I think it was totally worth it. I'll hand back over to you.
Absolutely worth it. Thank you so much, Vanita. What a great start to today's session. So I have another speaker lined up for you to hear from. Erica from Hillcrest High School. Now, Erica's students have also been taking part in the School Enterprise Challenge for the last 7 years, like Vanita's school, but with quite a different business. So welcome, Erica.
Hi, I think I should switch my light on. Can you give me a second?
Yeah, of course, no problem.
Hi, sorry. Right. So I'm in Durban, the west part, not the west, the east part of South Africa. And I started 7 years ago. We first looked at the resources that we had. It was a slow start. I had one student to start off for a week, and then it built up over the time. Our first resource that we looked at were 3 large sports fields. And these sports fields weren't in use during the vacation. So the students came up with the idea, why not have a sports camp for primary school students? There was a lot of planning that went into that, but unfortunately the teachers in the primary schools weren't on board as much as we would hope. So that didn't work out. Then we tried a choir competition for primary schools. We thought maybe they'd come board with that, but their fixtures were full up, so we couldn't do that. So then we looked at other resources, and the best one we came up with was the theatre that we have at our school. Very fortunately, we have an advanced drama department, and they have this theatre which is set up for professional little theatre clubs, supper clubs. So we decided to use that. The first thing we tried was, well, the students, I'm saying me, but the students came up with was a talent contest. That was very nice, but there was so much planning involved and was quite tough for the students. And then we moved on to other venues that, not venues, sorry.
Other types of events?
Tongue-tied. Yeah, other types of events. We have Valentine's Day, so that's during school time, which suited all the team members. Then we had Fear Factor, which happened after exams. And we've had Are You Smarter Than a Teacher? And so we're also still looking at various other events. We also partner with other cultural clubs that's in the school. For example, we have cultural evenings where different cultures, because we're very diverse, our school, display certain cultures, and we partner with them, and we provide fast foods like hamburgers and things like that during those events. And those funds from partnering these events helps the students to host their own events. And
Brilliant.
basically
Okay.
that's what we do. Yeah.
So you partner with other events, your students provide food to sell at those events, and that raises the funds to then for them to be able to put on their own events.
And they also sell their own treats. They make things like brownies, and they sell them on a Friday recess time.
Great. It was interesting to hear a bit about the challenging start to your journey. You mentioned that your students considered doing a sports camp and then a choir competition. And you also told us about how at the beginning you only had one student involved, but now your business has grown and is thriving after 7 years. So I think it's really inspiring. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Great to hear that your students didn't give up and look where they are now. Have you faced any other challenges along the way? I'm interested to know.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Sorry, you were breaking up. I don't know if it's my, yes, no, that's fine, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, it says my connection is unstable. Okay.
I was asking if you have faced any other challenges in your journey and how you've overcome them.
Well, two major struggles. The one is that it's short term. So it's about 2-3 years that the student stays with the team. So it's very difficult to keep them interested because they know they're moving on. So that's a little bit of a struggle, because it's nice to work towards something, but they actually leave when they're in matric, which is grade 12. And most of them become prefects, and so they're not part of the team. And the other is to try and coordinate with all the other activities that they do. There are some students, the present leader has 9 subjects to study, and then she's got all kinds of things going on. And a lot of them do have other extracurricular activities. So it's very hard to coordinate because our events sometimes are after school. And yeah, those are the two challenges, just to keep them interested. Because they're not going to basically see the long-term effects, really.
Yeah, I can imagine that can be a struggle. How do you motivate your students?
Well, we do reward them and we make things interesting for them. We take a look at real-world businesses. So we've been to quite a variety, right from a farm to farmer's market, a coffee farm to a farmer's market, to production companies that are manufacturing things like clothing. And so they go out and they take a look and they ask questions and they think things through and they try and bring some ideas into their own business.
Fantastic.
And that's up. And then they also can work towards being the student of the month, where they get a free lunch from the tuck shop.
Great, really nice ideas. And what impact have you seen on your students through taking part in the program? I'd love to hear a bit more about that.
Yeah, well, they think seriously about entrepreneurship. One of the initial team members now owns a florist shop the very busy shopping center. So she's done well. There's another guy who wants to start his own logistics company. So they do think carefully about that, but mostly they become very confident. They're confident in their ability to communicate, to be contributors in a very valuable way towards whatever it is they're working towards. They see the value that they have, and it makes them very confident, and they become leaders in the school. And it's nice to see that happening.
Fantastic. At this moment, let me just remind the audience, in a moment, we'll hand over to you to ask your questions to Erica. So if there's anything that you would like to find out more about, please do type your questions in the chat. I would like to ask Erica, you've got 7 years of experience of guiding your students through this process. So do you have any advice or top tips for teachers that might just be starting out and taking part for the first time?
I would say embrace all kinds of students. There's so many things that students can get involved in, and you don't need a particular type of student. The quiet, reserved ones, you can keep them busy doing things that are not out there speaking with their target market, school, whatever. So embrace everybody, embrace their differences, and encourage them to contribute all the time, and keep reminding them that they're very valuable, and they really are. Their participation is really well worth it, and to remind them that one day they're going to go into the big world. And in our country, there's such a massive unemployment problem with the youth. So they have to think about entrepreneurship to survive these days in our country. It is very important in South Africa.
Absolutely critical. And it's really interesting to hear, actually, your experience being similar to that of Anita's, to embrace students of all different types, to let the students play to their strengths at the beginning. And then once they learn a bit more about the opportunities, the other opportunities that are there for them to get involved in, they can go from strength to strength, build their skills, build their confidence. Fantastic. I think at this moment, I'll pass over to Christoph if you have had any questions from the audience.
Yes, thank you, India, and thank you, Erica, for a really nice presentation. It's really interesting to hear about your school's business. I'm particularly interested in it because of its nature. You know, it's a sort of events business which sells some physical products, but you know, it's an events business, and I think we don't see so many of those. We see a lot of handicrafts, we see a lot of farming, you know, a lot of snacks, but we don't, you know, events is really quite something, and I think quite an undertaking for young people, really. I think it's good to see. And Peter in the chat had said, how do your students promote this in the market? Because it's not quite a physical product, is it? So how do they do marketing?
Well, it's we target our school students. So that makes it quite easy. We put posters around the school. We put in something we call a captain's bell, which is published every day, and teachers have to read it to their classes. So we put it in there. So, and it's word of mouth as well. We tell friends to tell friends. So it's quite easy to target your own school because everybody's there at school, and they've got reminders as they walk around school and they see the posters.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good piece of advice. If we have anyone here in the webinar today who's, you know, not already taking part in the School Enterprise Challenge and who's considering it, I think that's a really important thing to note. Like, you don't have to, from the very beginning, make sales, you know, to strangers. You know, if you have a business, like an events business like yours, and your target audience is other young people, well, you have an audience there ready and waiting for you in the school. So actually promoting to classmates through word of mouth is a great way to get that out there.
And we also are able to charge a very nominal fee. So they pay a very little sum each. They only pay R5. I don't know what that is in other currencies, but that's such a small fee, which encourages everybody. And because we've got the large numbers, we really can make a profit.
Okay, so that's another, interesting piece of advice. You've gone for lots of people paying a tiny amount,
Yes.
and that allows you to bring a profit. So you don't have to have an expensive product or service. If your costs are low, if you manage to keep your costs low, then and you're able to sell to a lot of people, you will also make a profit. So I think that's a really nice nugget of wisdom for everyone in the room. I'm just looking at the chat now. If anybody has any questions, please do ask them.
In the meantime, I have one more.
Okay.
Erica, in the last session we did, some of the teachers were asking you about how the pandemic has impacted your business. And you were saying, a quote actually, you said, "We can't make money at the moment, but our students can keep building skills," which I love. So I just wanted to ask you a bit more about how your experience has been over the last year or two and what that's meant for your business.
Right, so we are building skills. We've already started just a few skills like decorating cupcakes. We're working on things like tie-dyeing, and we're asking students what are their interests, what would they like to learn. So we will be building on that. We're also looking at other things we can do. One thing that they've been working on is possible online auction, which has been fairly successful, I believe, in schools around the world. So we're looking at that. At the moment, they're designing their own T-shirt. They're going to have a club T-shirt. So whenever they have an event, they are identified with their T-shirts. Just keeping them busy, keeping them interested, and knowing that they're there not just to sit and wait it out, but to actually work towards when the pandemic is over, what can they do? What can they produce?
Perfect. I love the idea of an online auction. So innovative. Those of you that are asking what types of businesses can be set up during the pandemic, that's a great idea for you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Erica, for joining us today to share all of your experience. I'm going to move on now to hear from our third speaker. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you. Thank you.
So our third speaker today is Deepa from Sancta Maria International School. Welcome, Deepa.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, very
okay.
well.
So thank you so much. Thank you, School Enterprise Challenge, for having me here. So it's a great opportunity for me to share my experience. Hello, everyone. I am Deepa Reddy, working as high school teacher at Santa Maria International School, India. I am right now teaching the students who fall in the age group of 14 to 17. That means I'm dealing with the students who are highly energetic, have high potential, they are curious, they are creative. So I always had a passion to become a teacher, and I believe that students should have the hands-on experience and the practical exposure of the topics they learn in the classes. Okay, so for this, School Enterprise Challenge is the big platform, the great platform where the students can exhibit their enterprising skills, their communication skills, leadership skills, and so on. So now I'll talk about my product. Why am I here is to share a product which, we thought of introducing it during the pandemic, where, the situation was where we can't go out, we can't sell the product. So what do we do? That was a question mark we had, but we did not want to give up, and we wanted to take part in the School Enterprise Challenge. So, we have come out with a product that is podcast, and we have named it as Unlimited Audio. So before I talk about, as a teacher, what did I do, and how did we get that idea, I would like to talk about what is a podcast is. So podcast is a recorded audio of anything you would like to record. Like, you can talk about the current events, the world events, the stories, about the pandemic, about the vaccination, anything. So now our students got this idea of the podcast, and our target customers are the children, young adults, middle-aged citizens, senior citizens, who want to catch up with the predominant, world events, predominant news and the world events. So we have come out with this idea, and they do not have the time to exactly watch or listen to the complete news. So this idea was something, we wanted to take up. And what is the need of coming out with this idea? One more is, parents want their children to be updated with the, current affairs, but they do not have time. Neither they cannot condense, the news. That is one need what we thought, we have to come out with this idea. And one more, the biggest need was, and the opportunity we have taken was from the global pandemic. So we have made the global pandemic as an opportunity, because students have to work from home. It's all the remote learning which was happening. They cannot come out. And we even do not want to invest much in the resources, and we want to go ahead with the resources what the students already had. So we have come out with this idea. So that's about the product. And how did we get this idea? So when we wanted to take part in school enterprise challenge, we wanted many ideas to pour in the way. So for that, what did I do as a facilitator is, I have told the students to form as groups, where they are comfortable in. And the platform, this is the way I have actually created. And students would exactly do, I do agree, they are creative, innovative, but they need a little push, which we as the facilitators need to do. So I wanted to create that competitive spirit among them. So I have told them they need to present on a fine day, where other expert teachers would join, and also the principal would join the presentations, and we would select the best one. And I have given them the whole information of why is it important to take part in the school enterprise challenge. So this motivated them. And one on the day when they presented, we got great ideas from all the students, keeping the pandemic in view. But the podcast was the idea which we thought was the need of the hour. And it's the resources what we need for the podcast is, a laptop, a mobile, a computer with a headset, which the students are already having, and they are attending the online classes. So there is nothing they have to buy, that's already there. And they record the audio, and that recorded audio is the audio production. And the launch of this unlimited audio was done on the free websites. There are free websites where the students can do that. And we wanted to add merchandise to that, where we only deal as the traders, where we find the customers, and we get commission for that, for finding the customers. That's one. And we have other ideas also. One is views, the number of views we get depending on the country, it's paid. And one more is, we wanted to take up the advertisements also, the ads. So because as our website, the podcast, the link gets popular, the page. So we are expecting we would get ads from the companies, and also we could charge. So students have planned all this, and they have come out with this idea. So we have converted the pandemic to an opportunity. So why did I share this experiences? Maybe there are many teachers who want their students to come for these challenges. Maybe the pandemic is something stopping thinking how to go ahead, how do we manage the resources, how do the students even participate. So maybe my example would have a little impact. If it is, that would be a great achievement for us. So that's about the product.
Absolutely, Deepa. That's why we've invited you here today. So inspiring. Before we go any further, actually, I'm just going to play a trailer which the students recorded to sort of advertise their podcast, so you can hear it for yourselves.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to Unlimited Audio, our new podcast. On Unlimited Audio, you get to choose what's on our podcast. Current topics cover a variety of things, including world events, sports, and happenings in tech. Episodes drop every week, and we'll add special content on our website. I know times are tough with the coronavirus pandemic and all, so it's ever increasingly important to understand what's going on in our world right now, something that's factually accurate. Misinformation is spreading like lightning, but we'll give you what's really going on. Don't worry, everything's family friendly. Head on over to our website to take our survey and to tell us what we should talk about. Unlimited Audio, episodes starting in October.
So you can see the students in action. Actually, our whole project was online. It was, the meetings, the students coordinated, everything was online. So they had scheduled the meetings in spite of, the busy schedule, and they could actually launch the product. Yeah.
That's incredible. I was actually going to ask you to tell us a bit more about your experience of guiding your students through this process during lockdown remotely. We can see on screen this screenshot from one of your online team meetings. So how has that experience been? And do you have any tips to share with teachers that might be in a similar situation teaching online?
Yes, sure. So though we have come out with the podcast idea, it's work from home with the available resources. So it was a great idea we wanted to take up, but I have still faced some challenges doing this, and I would like to share it. And see, first thing, participating in the school enterprise challenge, we didn't want to give up, but what was the idea? That was a big challenge we had. So a podcast was the solution for that. We have come out with the idea, but later when we were implementing and when we wanted the students to take part, all the students were very curious and they wanted to take part, but the time factor and the coordination was a challenge for me. So what we did was, all the students, when we had the meeting, we decided on dividing the responsibilities in a way where the students would meet in small groups over the week, and they would actually meet all the groups and meet together, would meet during the weekends, when they have less classes or no classes probably. So that's how we managed. So how did they divide the groups? Where for this podcast, actually we need the data, we need people who speak, who are very comfortable talking, and also we need people who are little good at technology, for the audio production and launching the product. So we divided into 4 teams. One team was the research team who collected the data. So they used to do their work after the meeting till the next meet. They have to complete their task, whatever the task is been given. And then other group is the script writing. They write the script, what to be taught. They have to talk in the podcast, properly structured, who are very good in the language and who can write the script. Then the other group we had was the recording team who would speak the script. So that was their team. And the next last team was the one who are good with technology. So their job was to edit, to do the audio production, and to upload the audios into the podcast. So that's how, we try to manage, coordinate, and we are doing it well even now. So it's going on good. And one more thing is, since it's online classes, the students are completely busy with the screen and all the whole morning with the classes still, because the passion they have for this project. And after I told them their project is been appreciated and, told as one of the brilliant idea, they are working even more now. So, so that motivation I have seen among them now. So,
oh, that's great to hear. Thank you so much for explaining a bit more about how your team of students is divided into these 4 different areas for research, writing the script, recording the podcast, and then editing and uploading it. You certainly, well, you have to be organized, whatever business you're running, but all the more so when you're coordinating your students from home. At this moment, let me just remind the audience, now is your opportunity to ask Deepa any questions that you might have for her. What are you interested in hearing more about? Please do type your questions in the chat, and in a moment, Deepa will have an opportunity to answer them.
I think lots of people in the chat are saying it's a brilliant idea. It's getting lots of positive sentiment from other attendees. And, I totally agree. I think podcast is a brilliant idea. I think some people here today might never have listened to a podcast. And I think, Deepa, you did a great job of explaining what it is. We listened to the trailer and it just sounds so professional. It's amazing that students have put that together. And I think it kind of leads to a question which was asked to one of the previous speakers, but I think we can ask you as well, Deepa. This podcast, it's an audio file. So how is that a business? There's 2 questions there. How are your students going to promote it? and how are your students going to make money from it? Because I think that'll paint a nice picture for other people here who maybe can't wrap their head around it.
Yeah, so sure. Actually, podcast, we have come out with the idea, like we have just uh, before we have come to this idea, when we did the brainstorming, the students especially, they have actually found the problems around, the need around. So when they have identified the need, was one is, now because of the pandemic and so much we are depending on the internet for the data and all, so there is a question mark always, what is accurate. So here our students are taking this advantage of trying to do the research of all the trusted websites, and probably gathering the information. So that's one thing. So one need satisfied here is providing the accurate information. The next is, podcast is a kind of a service they are providing by condensing the news to the point what the audience would be interested in. So that's one more, which would help all the people who are interested in listening. So because while working also, if the audio is on, at the same time we listen to the news, whatever the condensed news is, and we can even do the work. That's one. And the other point is, that's completely a service, but how do we make money? Different countries have different free sites, websites, where the podcast, if they launch their podcast in those sites, there is a chance as per the views they are paid. So it depends on different country, their agreements on the contracts they have. That's one way of earning money. So if they market, just spread across all the communities everywhere, that's how they get the marketing, they get more views. And what, that's one option. The other is, you once your the page is becoming famous, people would show interest to show their ads, maybe get their product promoted on your page, because this is a school product. Definitely people would show interest in listening and all, a different product altogether, a service. So we would generate money through ads as well. Okay, so apart from this, if we can link our page with other merchandise people, the merchandises, for example, if I have to say, the people who want to sell their products, so for that, we would act as the mediators, the traders. We would get the customers for them, and we are paid a commission, a kind of a profit margin on that. So that's how we can make money. These are different options. It depends on what people would like to. But for us, for our school, whatever money we generate out of this podcast, if everything goes as we expected, we are going for a social cause. So we are going to donate the money for the Red Cross. So the students have even decided everything.
Brilliant. Thanks, Deepa. I think you've really completed the picture of what a podcast business looks like. And I think you've set, really good example there. It's clear that it was the students' idea. They went through a thorough brainstorming process. They identified a need. It's not an obvious need, a need for simple, concise news. They clearly thought about it properly, and then they came up with a business which would solve that need. And then they found a business model where they're going to make money. And I think essentially what you're saying is there's money to be made on the internet, whether it's through advertising or other sources. So I think we're in a pandemic. Lockdowns are here, and they're probably here to stay for a while. So, some traditional businesses which require in-person meeting or physical products, those might not work, but that doesn't mean wait until the pandemic is over. There are exciting businesses to be explored, such as podcasts and other things. So I think, Deepa, you've really brought an interesting angle to the table.
Yeah.
Thank you very
So
much.
I just wanted to add one more here actually. So when our students came out with this ideas and all, when I have seen the materials, so the material provided by the school enterprise challenge was so good that students, when they did the brainstorming and all, they got the material. I have actually provided the material to them, and when they have seen, they understood exactly what is expected from this challenge. So the material has taken them to a position where they could think creatively. And one more thing is, all the forms which are available for writing the business idea, the plan, are so user friendly that they have exactly given the idea what is expected from the students. So if the students are clear what they are supposed to do, there is nothing we could stop them.
Thanks. That's really, really nice, Deepa. Really nice to hear that, the materials of the School Enterprise Challenge provides are user-friendly, and that's what got your students to where they are now, having a podcast business. So that's great. Before we move on, we've had a really good question come in. So Deepa, maybe you can channel your students and maybe give an answer on their behalf. But Geeta's saying, how can you encourage people to listen to a podcast? Because she believes that most people prefer to watch video rather than just listening to audio. So how can you attract an audience towards a podcast? Is that something your students have thought about?
Yeah, so podcast, as I was telling, nowadays, students also have, their work to do. If I talk about the young people, so now if you have to watch the video, I'm saying definitely you will watch the video, get the data. But there are some other things, where you can also enjoy, having the audio around and doing your work. So in case if I talk about the young adults who want to go for a jog, who want to go for a gym, but they do not have the time, just online classes, busy with everything, but still they want to do their activity and catch up with the activities or the events around. Definitely podcast would help them. And if I talk about the senior citizens, if the data what we have, definitely they would show more interest in listening than just spending watching, because nowadays screen time is more. So parents are also not encouraging the children to watch the screen the whole day. So in those cases, if they attend the online classes morning, but the parents want the students to update the knowledge, the podcast would be the best source. So this is how we are trying to give the advertisement market, and so that's how people liked our idea a lot, I think.
Very convincing answer, Deepa. You mentioned a bit there about the data that you have, and I just wanted to ask about the market research that your students have done that led them to this business idea. Have they just been researching online, or have they spoken to potential customers to find out about their needs and what they would like to see in a podcast?
Yeah, so the market research is, I have shared a PPT, along when I have shared this podcast audio and all. So in that you can see they have done a complete research on how is the podcast market increasing. So when they did, they have kept India as the focus there. So in India, somewhere around 2004, the market has come into the podcast and all, but it did not take up much. But because of this pandemic, now the market is in the boom stage, I should say. And if we see the future, podcast has very good future. If the screen time increases, if this is going to continue, definitely podcast is going to have a very good future, I should say, the market. And about the survey, they haven't actually taken the survey from outside people exactly, but within the group where we are, as I said, we are like a few students in the group. They have just spoke to them, but a particular group has come out with this idea after doing that particular survey. We did not actually taken, but the research, they have done a complete research on the statistics, how did it come and how did it increase, and all that research they have done.
Great, brilliant start. And I mean, they're certainly thinking big, thinking about like the growth in the market, where their podcast could go. Let me just ask you one final question, which I have asked to the other speakers as well. Could you tell us a bit about the impact that the School Enterprise Challenge has had on your students? What change have you seen in them?
Okay, so the School Enterprise Challenge had impact on me as well, and also for the students. For me, being an enterprise teacher, I teach a lot of concepts in the class, like right from brainstorming, making a business plan, marketing strategies, how to find the profit, the cost, and all. But this School Enterprise Challenge is an opportunity for me to make my students practically implement all this. Right from brainstorming till the implementation, they learn practically, and how does it really help in the real life experiences. They would have those real life experiences, I should say. And the impact on the students was so tremendous. I have seen the students who all were participating in the particular School Enterprise Challenge more confident than they were before they have joined, who used to hesitate to take the initiative. I have seen the students taking the initiative as the team leads for the teams I was just discussing. And also I have noticed various improvement in various skills, like I have seen them the improvement in the leadership skills, the communication skills when they negotiate, when they have the meetings, when they talk. I have seen the team building skills, the calculation skills. Overall, I have seen enterprising skills improving among them. I should say School Enterprise Challenge definitely would make the student grow overall. I mean, all round performer, I should say.
Amazing. What a fantastic note to end on. Thank you so much, Deepa, for being here today to share all of your wonderful experience. It was very inspiring.
Thank you.
So now that we're getting towards the end of today's session, we've heard from all of the guest speakers. And so we wanted to give you, the audience, some time to debrief, digest what you've heard, and reflect together in small groups on what you will take away from today's session. So we're going to be doing that reflection in small groups, and let me explain first how that will work. So we're going to be using breakout rooms. You will be assigned to a breakout room and moved there automatically. And then it will be for 10 minutes. And at the end of the 10 minutes, you will automatically be moved back to the main room. When you're in the breakout room, I really encourage you to click on this button here to unmute yourself so you can talk live with your peers, share your reflections together. And if you would like to, you're welcome to turn on your video too. If you need any assistance in the breakout room, you can click on this button to ask for help and then invite host. But please only click on that if you really need our help, because we don't want to interrupt your discussions. So as I say, we're going to put you in small groups and we'll have 10 minutes for this activity. And we have 2 questions for you to think about to kickstart your discussion. So the first question is, if you have taken part in the School Enterprise Challenge before and your students are already running a school business, then what one action will you take away from today's session that will help make your school business a success? What one action will you take away from today's session to help make your school business a success? And for those of you that maybe haven't taken part in the program before or don't have a school business yet, then have a think about what inspired you most from today's session. What inspired you most from today's session? So we'll have 10 minutes for this discussion in groups, and my colleague Christoph is going to open the breakout rooms now, I believe.
Okay, breakout rooms are ready. You have 10 minutes. See you all in 10 minutes.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. How was that? I hope you enjoyed that opportunity to share your reflections with your fellow educators. If anybody would like to share what came out of your discussion, what actions did you decide on that you're going to take away from today's session? Or what is the one thing that inspired you most today? please do feel free to share your answers in the chat. I'm conscious though that I don't want to run over, so do please feel free to share your highlights from your group discussion in the chat. And in the meantime, let me just end by telling you a little bit more about the School Enterprise Challenge. As you know by now, it's our flagship entrepreneurship program where students get the chance to go on a real life entrepreneurial journey, coming up with a business idea, creating a business plan, and actually launching and running their school business while they're still at school. As you've heard from all of our wonderful speakers today, along the way, the students develop so many key life skills: communication, leadership, problem solving, teamwork. It's completely free to take part in, free to register, and free to take part in, and registrations are open now. So I really encourage you to visit our website and find out more and sign up your school today. The website is www.schoolenterprisechallenge.org. And finally, as promised, you can fill out this feedback survey to get your attendance certificate for joining today's webinar. I will post the link in the chat in just a moment. You won't be able to click on what you see on screen, but please follow the link in the chat, which I'm sharing now. Your feedback is really, really important to help us plan and deliver webinars which are of interest to you and which you find useful. So please take a moment to click on the link, give your feedback through the survey. Make sure to type your name and your email address correctly, because your certificate of attendance will be emailed to you with your name on it after you fill in the survey. I will also be sharing the slides from today's presentation and the link to the survey by email with you after today's session. So that is all that we have time for today. I will be staying here for a few more minutes to answer any last minute questions that you may have. But for now, I will just say thank you so much to Vanita, Erica, and Deepa for joining us today as speakers. It's been a real pleasure to have you here, sharing all of your wonderful, inspiring experience. And thank you to everyone else for joining us and sharing your great questions too. We look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Thank you and goodbye.